I trust everybody as well. I'm just doing a little bit of adjustment here, and I think we'll be okay with that. I'm getting a handle on these things now. There. Hopefully, we'll see what happens anyway. I'm canceling that, and we'll get started. I'm just going to touch this a little bit. Sorry to be a little disorganized. I'm planning on getting that worked out. Sunday morning, here we are. So I wasn't sure what to talk about this morning. I've been busy watching the Olympics, plus a little bit of tennis thrown in. But watching the downhill, there's certain things I really, really like. Some I don't watch, but there's a lot I do. So my mind's being all about out on the mountains and watching. Yeah, and some good stuff. Good. If you, I'm an old jock, so certain sports I really, really like and enjoy. So I sat down here this morning and said, "What am I going to talk about today?" And because Sunday mornings is for a Sunday thought, so what I did is went to my tarot cards, which I often do when I'm not quite sure what to do or say or whatever. And I pulled three cards. So, okay, what am I going to talk about today? And we got, for those of you that like tarot, we got Six of Pentacles, the Magician, and the Four of Wands. And I decided when looking at that my topic would be generosity. So, what do we have? How does generosity fit in? So, we've got generosity of love, time, money. And then I also wrote a little thing about your spirit. Where do you place your spirit? Your good works, your kind words, etc., like that. So, just going back to the symbology again for the moment, because that's easier for me sometimes to relate to. In this particular symbol, a merchant, portly meaning he's wealthy, is distributing his money, and he's got couple of beggars in front of him, and it's being measured. Now, this is a very interesting little thing here. You know, how much are we giving enough? Are we not giving enough? And I'm sure anybody who's given, which I definitely have over the years, it's like, how much, how much do I get? How much do I have to give right at this moment is basically how I handle it. But one thing I want to point out to you, which I find very, very important sometimes in the background, is the merchant's castle, that which he has built, that which he has created. And now he's got his scales of justice over one person's head, and he's distributing money to the other person. And you're presuming he's going to come back and distribute money to the person who's being measured, is he worthy? Is he worthy of this, etc. And that's how often we give of our time and our affections, which fall under the love category. That would be a part of that. So I'm just going to leave that one for a moment, because the second symbol is the beginning of the higher arcana of the tarot, the Magician. Basically says everything is possible. So whatever it is, it's all possible. He's got in front of him a wand, which is your thinking. He's got the money. He's got the pentacle, which is the money. He's got the cup, which is the feeling, emotion, and he's got the sword, which is all other emotions, which can be, a little fractious. But the key to the symbol is as above, so below. What do we aspire to? When we're listening to somebody, are we generous in listening to what they have to say, or are we always running the critical tape inside because we don't agree, which sometimes can happen, or we're not really listening because the person is saying something that's contrary or not totally in agreement to what and where and how. So the key to the Magician for me is all things are possible. You have access to aspiration above, and below is the roses and the lilies, which is basically the aspiration manifested. So the third symbol that came down, and I smiled when this was there, going, okay, good. This cups it all together. Four of Wands. Wands is ideas. We have them. Some of them are great, some of them not so great, some are easy to implement, some are not. And what we see here is that your ideas are manifested and people come out to join you to celebrate the success. So, how does that all apply to really seek? What are we really wanting? And when I'm talking about that, I had a little bit of a conflict within myself, and hello, saying I'm not really connected properly here. So guess what? I don't know. Um, Dorothy, if you could put something in the chat so I know I'm back being heard or not, if somebody can do that, because we do sometimes on a Sunday morning in particular run into conflict. So if someone can just put something on the chat room to know I'm still being heard or if I've disappeared. You had a blip. Oh, okay, good. Just a blip. That's fine. Anyway, during the week, I kind of need a little bit of an inspiration. I was feeling just a little off on something that I had said, and I looked in my, and if those of you not familiar with this, my little guide box, and I find it also gives me a lot of inspiration. So the idea of getting out of yourself, being generous with yourself. Anyway, this is what this said from Mahatma Gandhi. What you do may seem to be insignificant. Nevertheless, it is of the greatest importance that you do it. And that was after I had said something and I wasn't sure that I'd said it appropriately or correctly. So I took that was okay. I was okay. So that goes back to generosity. What are we doing with our generosity? How are we putting it out? Are we putting it out in little bits or are we giving an effectiveness? Are we appreciative of what other people do or say? I'm a great believer in the word thank you, even though sometimes I may not say it as sufficiently to those around me. Um, I have found that when I am working with, you might say, the forces of energies above, if I use the word thank you, it has a much more bigger impact. So I begin with that before I state what I really want or what I am looking at to get. So I want to be generous with the thank yous and that was a good job or well done or I appreciate that. But to remember, you've got just a few, I just got a few little things down here. Love, generous with love. So kindness falls onto that. Being, giving a few words, always acknowledging the persons that you're talking to or around. Time. Are you generous with your time? Do you give time? I'm just on this thing on the side was I had a consultation yesterday with an older lady, even older than me, and she has not been well. And over the years, I know her daughter very well. And over the years, every now and again, she asked for clearing. And so I got my pieces of paper and got ready to do her clearing. And I was thrilled with the result. From where a couple of years ago, when we started doing, I talk about the clearing work. When we started, there was just written all over my page stuff that needed to be done. The next one, less. The next one, less. Now, the last one I did was in November. So that was like 4 months ago. No, yeah, about 4 months ago. Hardly anything. I was so pleased and so impressed. And yes, what we had to work on was really very, very important. So it's like being aware of the time that you give somebody, the changes that can happen when you are aware of that. And of course, money. When sometimes a little bit given in a certain place can make a big difference to somebody else. And it's like an awareness factor. And of course, if you have anything to do with a religious organization of any kind, they're going to talk to you about tithing or giving money, basically. Tithing is kind of the religious word for it. And tithing means 10%. But sometimes 10% is too much. So you've got to figure out what that is and where do you give it? A lot of people say, well, you give it to the church or you give it to an organization or you give it there. It's like deciding where and how that you are going to be generous with that small amount of money. And it may not be 10%. You may decide you only want to work with 3%. Of course, what you put out, you get back. So there is something else to consider. And of course, to me, Six of Pentacles always represents that. You give it to where it's needed, where someone can benefit by it. But again, just to bring everything together, everything is possible. But it's your intent on possibilities. This is all about aspiring for what it is that you want to achieve and what you want to do. And the four suits on the table show it affects every aspect of your life. So are you generous with what you're wanting to create for you? Are you generous in understanding that your plate can become full? Because all of us want success. We want peace, we want quiet, we want ease, we want to feel successful, no matter what it may be. And so and I'm going to go back to this, as to what old Gandhi said. What you may seem to be, what you may do, hang on, yeah, what you do may seem to be insignificant. So it might be some little thing that you do or say. Acknowledgement is really big when you're acknowledging somebody. Nevertheless, it is of the greatest importance that you do it. That little saying helped me through a day when I was beating myself up a little bit and realizing that you are you and accepting who you are. And by being generous to others in any which way you can, you're going to find that life will be successful. And that will prepare you for where you go on. So that kind of wraps up what I didn't know I was going to say today, because I just pulled the cards and said, okay, see where that goes. So Dorothy, she says, good morning, beautiful in Kasuga. I think it's beautiful. I haven't really looked outside yet. Marion says, you had a blip for a moment, but okay now. That's great. Yeah, it was kind of weird, this thing. And Yvonne, good morning, Norma. Thank you so much. Well, thank you to the three of you that add to my chat room, because it makes my day. I feel seen, I guess. Yeah. So thank you. So now back to the skiing, and I'm I'm sorry. Old jocks love sports. Don't like hockey, don't like curling, but I really like most of the other ones. Unfortunately, one of our tennis players, one of my gals may listen to this, one of our tennis players lost today, lost the championship in Rotterdam, I think they were at. So watch that as well. So I'm having a generous day of appreciation of other, what you might say, athletes that are out there. In the meantime, you have an appreciation of something. Just give it a little thought. I shall see you on Monday night, which is tomorrow night. I just have to make this a little shorter, or a little bigger, sorry, so I can get out of this. And yeah, for mental mind treatments. Blessings. Have a great day.